My parents skipped my wedding for my sister. Now, 3 years later, they want me back. After ignoring me for 3 years, they suddenly expect a place in my child's life. So I lawyered up. I'm 27 female and have been married for 3 years. My connection with my older sister Emily, 30 female, has always been strained, but things became even more toxic when she decided to destroy my wedding. Emily was going through a divorce at the time. Emily's marriage was falling apart because her husband did not want children, and she had always wanted to be a mother. Now, I'm not here to argue whether or not that's a deal breaker because it absolutely is. But Emily knew about his feelings before they married. He made it apparent that he did not want children, but she married him nonetheless, hoping to persuade him otherwise. So just as I was preparing my wedding, their marriage was on its final legs. My fiancé, now husband, and I had been together for 4 years and were thrilled to finally tie the wedding. We had saved for months and planned every detail. We were prepared for it, but Emily thought my wedding was a personal attack on her. At first, it was minor comments such as how I was being inconsiderate by arranging a wedding while she was going through a divorce. I blew it off because Emily has always been a drama queen. She was the best-behaved child growing up. My parents thought she could never do anything wrong. While I was typically the one who got in trouble for not doing things her way when she was upset, everything came to a halt until she felt better. So it wasn't surprising that she was upset about my wedding, but I expected her to get over it. Then my parents became involved. They called and requested that I postpone the wedding. Let me say it again. They asked me to postpone my wedding because Emily was getting divorced. I assumed they were joking at first. When I saw they were serious, I informed them it wasn't going to happen. My fiancé and I had already made deposits and sent out invites. Plus, why should Emily's difficulties overshadow my wedding? Her divorce was not my fault, and I would not put my life on hold for her. My parents didn't take it well. They said I was being selfish and that family should come first. I claimed that Emily's divorce had nothing to do with my wedding, and that she could either be pleased for me or not attend. That's when they dropped the bombshell. They would not come until I postponed the wedding. They were willing to miss their own daughter's wedding to spare Emily's feelings. I was heartbroken. I'd always known they preferred Emily, but this seemed like a betrayal on a deeper level. I told them they may make their own judgments, but I was not going to change my plans. I figured that was the end of it. If they don't want to come, that's fine. At the very least, I'd have the support of my fiancé friends and his family. But Emily wasn't finished yet. She began spreading lies among the rest of the family. She initially accused me of being harsh for marrying her while she was going through a difficult time. Some others felt sorry for her, but they didn't believe that was enough of an excuse to miss my wedding. So Emily escalated. She began telling others that I was the reason her marriage terminated. According to her, I encouraged her husband to leave her because I was jealous of her and couldn't bear the thought of her having children before me. To be clear, I knew very nothing about her husband. We had only had a few chats over the years, and none of them were serious or intimate. The thought that I would interfere with their marriage is absurd, but Emily lied with such confidence that others began to believe her. Some of our family even blocked me without saying anything. I later learned via a cousin that Emily had told them that I had been shoving it in her face about my impending marriage and talking about how I had persuaded her husband to leave her. None of it was true, but by the time I learned about it, the damage had been done. When my wedding day eventually arrived, hardly any of my relatives attended. It was devastating. My parents, relatives, uncles, and even some of my cousins did not turn up. Only a few cousins from my side of the family showed there, and they refused to believe Emily's tales. The remainder of the visitors included my friends, my husband's friends, and his relatives. I'll be honest, the weeks leading up to the wedding were some of the most difficult of my life. I pondered trying to clear my name, but it seemed pointless. Emily had already poisoned the well, so it would have been my word against hers. Besides, the ones who supported her had already made up their minds. I was not going to waste my time with those who did not want to hear the truth. Despite everything, my wedding day was stunning. My husband and his family went out of their way to show me love and support. My pals made me laugh and dance all night. For a few hours, I nearly forgot about the vacant chairs and the family members who had preferred Emily over me. But no matter how much fun I had, the ache persisted. After the wedding, I broke off communication with Emily and my parents. I could not forgive them for what they had done. Emily didn't simply skip my wedding. She aggressively sought to wreck it, and instead of supporting me, my parents encouraged her actions. It's been 3 years since I spoke with any of them. Sometimes I wonder if I overreacted by refusing to communicate, but then I remember how much agony they caused me during what should have been one of the best periods of my life. Emily's jealousy and my parents' partiality made my wedding a nightmare. I've moved on in many respects, Yet the anger remains. Fast forward 3 years, and I have created a life that I am proud of. My husband and I are doing fine, and we recently shared some fantastic news. I am pregnant with our first child. It should have been a happy occasion, but Emily and my parents needed to find a way back into my life. This is what occurred. A few weeks ago, my husband and I decided to announce our pregnancy on social media. We kept the announcement basic with a photo of us holding a sonogram and a text about how pleased we are. We hadn't communicated with Emily or my parents in years, so I didn't believe they would notice. However, they appear to be still prowling on my social media as my mother contacted me unexpectedly hours later. When I saw her name on my phone, I stopped. She hadn't reached out in 3 years, not even on holidays or birthdays. She suddenly wanted to talk. I hesitated but eventually responded. The talk began with a phony, amicable tone. She congratulated me on my pregnancy, saying it was excellent news. Then she got to the real reason she was calling. Emily. Emily has been trying to have a kid since her divorce, but hasn't been successful. Emily's mother informed me that she had undergone several rounds of IVF, all of which failed, and that she was now infertile. To be honest, hearing that made me feel horrible for her. Infertility is not something I would wish on anyone. But then, my mother dropped the bombshell. She and my father saw this pregnancy as an opportunity for me to reconcile with Emily. I was confused at first. What does my pregnancy have to do with Emily? My mother said that because Emily is unable to have her own children, bonding with my kid would be therapeutic for her. She advised that I allow Emily to play an active role in my child's life, as if my kid might replace the vacuum created by her infertility. She even stated, "It would be beneficial for your baby to have two mothers." I was speechless. This woman hadn't spoken to me in 3 years, and now she wanted me to share my newborn kid with the sister who ruined my wedding. I told her no right away. I said that Emily and I were not on speaking terms, and there was no way I was letting her near my baby. My mother tried to guilt-trip me, telling me that Emily was distraught by her infertility and needed her family's support more than ever. She even hinted that I was being unkind by depriving her the opportunity to bond with her future niece or nephew. I abruptly shut her down. I told her I couldn't fix Emily's life or make her feel better about her decisions. I also pointed out that if they truly cared about me or my baby, they would not have waited until I was pregnant to contact them. My mother did not take it well. She accused me of being harsh, claiming that I was letting old grudges ruin my chance to reestablish our family. I ended the phone before saying anything I'd regret. Over the next few days, both my father and Emily attempted to reach me. My father's approach was similar to my mother's. He presented it as an opportunity for us to recover as a family, insisting Emily's intentions were pure. According to him, Emily was not attempting to take over or replace me as a mother. She only wanted to be involved because the baby will be related to her by blood. He even suggested that I get Emily's help once the baby arrived. I told him the same thing I told my mother. I didn't need Emily's aid, and I certainly didn't want her near my child. My spouse and I already have a strong support structure in his family and among our friends. Emily and my parents could have ignored me for another 3 years if they wanted to. Emily's communications, on the other hand, told a completely different narrative. She didn't bother faking niceness. She accused me of being selfish and claimed I owed her the opportunity to be a part of my baby's life. She even branded me callous because I refused to include her. I initially ignored her texts, but when she began pestering me, I eventually blocked her. I wish I could say that was the end of it, but my parents were unwilling to give up. They contacted me back a few days later, this time together, and attempted to push the idea one more time. My mother genuinely stated, "Emily's been through so much, and this baby could be the family's way of making things right." I couldn't believe what I heard. My unborn child hadn't even arrived yet, and they were already treating it like a peace sacrifice for Emily. That was when I lost it. I told them I saw through their phony worry and wouldn't let them shame me into this idiotic scheme. I also made it obvious that if they kept pushing, I would permanently block them, just as I had with Emily. They tried to dispute, but I ended the call before they could say anything else. Since then, I've been grappling with a variety of feelings. On the one hand, I feel justified in staying firm. My parents and Emily demonstrated their priorities by skipping my wedding and spreading rumors about me. They do not deserve a place in my child's life. But on the other hand, I can't help but be angry and upset that they would try to manipulate me in this way. It's as if they've learned nothing over the last 3 years. For the time being, I am concentrating on my pregnancy and attempting to have a positive attitude. My husband has been fantastic throughout all, and his family has been extremely supportive. They've informed me that I owe Emily and my parents nothing, and honestly, they're correct. This baby represents a new chapter for me and my husband, and I refuse to allow toxic individuals to spoil it. While I've tried to move on for the past few years, the issue with Emily has always remained unresolved. I knew she lied to the family to sabotage my wedding, but I never learned the complete tale of her life at the time. That changed about a year after my wedding when my husband and I met Emily's ex-husband, let's call him Jack by chance. What he told us blew my head and helped me understand Emily's conduct. It all began one afternoon when my husband and I went out for lunch at a little restaurant that we had been meaning to explore. We were halfway through our meal when I noticed Jack sitting a few tables away with a bunch of coworkers. I wasn't sure if he'd know us, but he eventually came over to say hi. The conversation began casually. He congratulated us on our wedding and apologized for not attending. I informed him that I understood given the timing of his divorce from Emily. That's when events took an unexpected turn. My husband made an offhand remark about how ironic it was that Jack hadn't attended the wedding, given that Emily hadn't even shown up herself. Jack looked perplexed and inquired, "What do you mean she didn't go? She told me she was busy helping you plan everything." I nearly choked on my drink. Emily had used my wedding as a pretext to postpone their divorce proceedings. According to Jack, she constantly postponed their mediation meetings, stating she was too busy with wedding preparations. Meanwhile, she was aggressively spreading lies about me among the rest of the family. Jack stated that he found Emily's interest in my wedding unusual, especially given that she and I had never been close, but he felt she was just trying to keep up appearances during the divorce. That was when my husband and I told Jack the truth. Emily had done absolutely nothing to help with my wedding. In fact, she went out of her way to ruin it. We discussed how she propagated allegations that I had convinced him to leave her and had been bragging about it to the family. Jack was stunned. He said that he had no idea she was lying about me and apologized for not reaching out to explain things sooner. Then Jack dropped the true bombshell, the genuine reason for their divorce. Emily had been telling everyone for years that their marriage had dissolved because they couldn't agree to have children. She wanted to be a mother, but Jack was adamant about not having children. That was the story she clung to, and the majority of people believed it. But according to Jack, there was a deeper cause behind their breakup. Jack stated that after months of battling over kids, he had begun to reevaluate his position. He sincerely loved Emily and was willing to consider becoming a father if it meant saving their marriage. One day, he decided to sit her down and tell her that he was ready to talk about having children. He anticipated her to be overjoyed, but instead she said something that drastically altered his perception of her. Emily admitted that she had stopped taking her birth control months ago without notifying him. She stated that she had hoped to become pregnant by accident so that he would be forced to accept it. She even chuckled about it as if it were a smart scheme. Jack was shocked. He stated that he felt thoroughly betrayed, not just because she lied to him, but also because she removed his ability to make an informed decision about such a significant life decision. This was the last straw for him. He felt he could no longer trust her and filed for divorce shortly thereafter. Hearing this floored me. I knew Emily was manipulative, but this was a whole other level. I couldn't believe she tried to baby trap her own husband and lied to everyone about the cause for their divorce. Her behavior at my wedding made a lot more sense. She was lashing out at me because she couldn't accept the repercussions of her behavior. Jack told us that after he filed for divorce, Emily became more unpredictable. She'd switched between asking him to come back and blaming him for wrecking her life. She even tried to convince their mutual friends that Jack was the one who lied about wanting children, despite the fact that he had been open about his feelings from the beginning. Most of their pals saw through her lies, but it didn't deter her from trying. After our conversation with Jack, I had a range of feelings. On one hand, I was relieved to finally know what was going on behind the scenes. It explained so much about Emily's actions and validated my decision to cut her off. However, it made me even angrier. Emily's falsehoods wrecked not only her marriage, but also my relationship with the majority of our family. And for what? To shift blame away from herself. I considered confronting Emily or sharing what I'd learned with the rest of the family, but I ultimately concluded it wasn't worth it. I'd already lost contact with Emily and my parents by that point, and I didn't want to become involved in the drama again. I figured the truth would come out soon, and I didn't think it was my obligation to expose her. Looking back, that conversation with Jack was pivotal for me. It helped me release some of the shame I'd been feeling over how things ended with my family. For a long time, I questioned whether I should have done more to defend myself, or if I had overreacted by shutting them off. But after realizing the entire scope of Emily's falsehoods, I knew I had done everything I could to protect myself. Emily's actions were not simply a mistake or a lapse of judgment. They were premeditated, deliberate decisions to harm others around her for her own gain. I'd spent too much of my life as collateral damage in Emily's plans, and I refused to let her pull me down any longer. Then came the last straw. It began a few weeks ago when I banned Emily and my parents after their two mothers' proposal for my baby. I figured that was the end of it. They couldn't reach me directly anymore, so what else could they do? It turns out a lot. Emily decided to air her frustrations publicly. The first post was vague but clearly addressed to me. She wrote something like, "It's sad when family lets you down, especially when you've always tried to support them. Some people just don't understand loyalty or forgiveness." I didn't react, but it irritated me because I knew she was casting herself as the victim again. People left comments like, "You're so strong and whoever hurt you doesn't deserve you." This is classic sympathy fishing. At first I thought, whatever, let her vent, I'm not engaging. But then the post became more explicit. Emily started making not-so-subtle suggestions about my pregnancy, saying things like, "It's hard to be happy for someone who's always tried to ruin your life." In another post, she said, "Some people are so selfish that they won't even consider sharing their blessings with others who need them more." It was clear she was attempting to portray me as the bad guy for not allowing her to be a part of my baby's life. My mother started chiming in, which was the final straw. She wrote her own essay on how some individuals in this family have always been jealous and manipulative, turning their backs on us when we needed them the most. She wrote the following: "It's heartbreaking to see your own child reject her sister's pain." I'm not sure she recognized how absurd it was to accuse me of rejecting Emily's pain after she and Emily had neglected mine for years. These posts weren't just unpleasant, they were harmful. Extended family members who hadn't spoken with me in years began phoning to check in and inquire what was going on. Some of them were openly accusatory, saying things like, "Why can't you just make peace with Emily? Family is everything. You need to let this go." It felt like they'd all decided I was the villain before even asking for my side of the story. After a few weeks of this insanity, I determined I would no longer sit back and let Emily dominate the narrative. I hadn't said anything about her lying in years because I wanted to keep the peace, but that plan was plainly not working. If Emily wanted to air our dirty laundry on social media, I'd be fine with that. I contacted Emily's ex-husband, Jack, to explain what was going on. We'd chatted a few times since our encounter at the restaurant, and we were on friendly terms. I asked whether he would be cool with my telling the truth about their divorce, and he agreed. He even volunteered to back me up in case anyone questioned my story. So I made a huge post to explain everything. I described how Emily destroyed my wedding by spreading lies about me, how my parents condone her behavior, and how they attempted to guilt me into sharing my baby with her. Then I revealed the truth behind her divorce. She had discreetly stopped taking birth control in order to baby-trap Jack, and her manipulative behavior was the true cause of their divorce. The reaction was explosive. Within hours, my phone was flooded with texts from family members. Some were encouraging, stating that they had no idea Emily was capable of such actions. Others were enraged, accusing me of leaking sensitive family information and kicking Emily while she was down. Emily and my parents were unusually quiet at first, which told me they had no idea how to spin this, but of course, they did not remain silent for long. A few days later, Emily posted that I had manufactured the entire tale out of envy. She claimed I had always been upset with how close she was to our parents and accused me of attempting to turn the family against her. My parents backed her up, saying they just wanted to restore the family and never expected such harshness from me. At this time, I wasn't even upset. I was drained. I had told the truth, and anyone who still wanted to believe Emily was welcome to do so. I was not going to waste my time debating with those who had already made up their minds. I left the post up for nearly a week before deleting it. Not because I regretted what I said, but because I didn't want negativity on my social media. Since then, things have cooled down a little. The majority of Emily's family has gone quiet, and a handful have even contacted out to apologize for previously accepting her lies. Emily and my parents, on the other hand, continue to portray themselves as victims. They've made a few more posts about how families should stick together, no matter what, and how they simply want peace, but I haven't responded. I believe I have done everything I can to defend myself. If people continue to believe Emily's version of events, that's their problem, not mine. I have a baby on the way, and I am not going to let toxic people take up any more space in my life. That's where things stand right now. If you've ever had a family member publicize your drama on social media, I'd love to learn how you dealt with it. Thank you for reading. Hello, everyone. The channel has been slowing down a bit, and I've spent a lot of effort locating these stories for you. If you enjoy the article, please click the subscribe button. It means everything and contributes to the continued success of this adventure. Let us grow together. Now let's get to the last update. Final update. Hello, Reddit. I didn't intend to post again, but the universe and my family had other intentions. I believed I had finished this chapter, but Emily, 30 female, and my parents were not ready to let go. If you've been following my posts, you've already heard the tale. If not, here's a quick recap. My sister Emily destroyed my wedding, my parents supported her, and then they all tried to guilt me into letting Emily play second mother to my unborn child. I've had no interaction with them in a long time, but they've now taken their entitlement to a whole new level. This update could be the wildest yet, so buckle up. A few weeks ago, I noticed unusual activity on my social media accounts. My pregnancy posts, simple updates like baby bump pics or nursery prep received weird remarks. At first, it was just general statements like, "It's sad when people forget the meaning of family," or "Some babies are blessings from more than one person." I assumed it was just random trolls, but then I noticed the accounts were suspiciously new with no profile pictures or personal postings. My instincts told me it was Emily or my parents behind them. I shook it aside since honestly I'm used to their shenanigans by now. However, things quickly became very serious. One account left a comment saying, "You should be careful. Some people don't deserve to raise children." That one shocked me. I erased the comment and blocked the account, but I couldn't shake the sense that someone was watching me. My landlord called and things took a terrible turn. Someone had called pretending to be me and asked whether I was planning to move out soon. They claimed to be my sister and offered to assist with the process. Fortunately, my landlord did not trust them and called me to confirm. I was infuriated. This was a clear violation of my privacy, and I had no doubt Emily was behind it. I confronted my parents against my better judgment, and they didn't even dispute it. My mother replied something like, "Emily was just trying to help because she knows you'll need more space with the baby coming." I lost it. I told them it wasn't Emily's business to interfere with my housing problem, and she had no authority to call my landlord. My father tried to calm me down by saying, "She's just excited about the baby. Can't you let her be a part of this?" That's when I hung up. I wasn't going to waste my breath arguing with folks who clearly didn't understand how absurd this was. The final straw came last week when I found Emily and my parents had been contacting my husband's family without my knowledge. My mother-in-law called me perplexed because Emily had sent her a lengthy message over Facebook. Emily depicted herself as a victim in the message, stating that I had cut her out of my life for no reason, and that she was distraught over being excluded from the lives of her nieces and nephew. She even recommended that my in-laws intercede between us because this baby deserves a whole family. My mother-in-law, bless her, shut that down right away. She informed Emily that we were content with our family and didn't want anyone meddling. But what bothered me the most was Emily's initial contact. It felt like a serious violation of boundaries. She wasn't only troubling me, she was involving my husband's family in her mess. After that, I decided it was enough. I filed a police report on the landlord incident and the harassing comments on social media. I also sent Emily and my parents a cease and desist letter through a lawyer stating unequivocally that if they continued to harass me or my family, I would not hesitate to seek legal action. Of course, they did not take it well. My mother called sobbing and said, "How could you do this to your own family?" Emily sent me a lengthy email accusing me of being cruel and nasty. She even remarked, "You're depriving me of the chance to experience motherhood through your child." That line made my skin crawl. I don't know how she doesn't notice how insane she sounds. My father attempted to shame me, saying, "This is tearing the family apart. You've made your point, but can't we just move on?" I reminded him I wasn't the one ripping the family apart. They were. I've given them numerous opportunities to respect my boundaries, and they've squandered each one. I don't even feel bad about cutting them off anymore. I feel relieved now. I've entirely avoided contact. I changed my phone number, made all of my social media private, and informed my landlord and work about the matter in case they tried anything else. My spouse and I are also considering adding security cameras around our home. I hate that it has come to this, but I am not taking any chances when it comes to my baby's safety. Despite everything, I am experiencing a peculiar sense of peace. For the first time in years, I have regained control of my life. My husband and I are thinking about the future and getting ready for our baby's birth. His family has been fantastic throughout this, and I am so appreciative for their support. This kid will be surrounded by so much love, and that is all that matters.